Welcome everyone to FIDE Grand Swiss, where we have Divya Deshmukh playing with the white pieces against Abhimanyu Puranik. The game began with d4, knight f6, c4, e6 and knight c3. Divya is open to Abhimanyu playing the Nimzo Indian, but Abhimanyu plays the Queen's Gambit declined with d5. And Divya, by the way, making a very bold decision in this tournament to play in the open section, not in the women's section. She's going to face some strong opponents. She's the second last seed in the tournament in spite of having a rating of 2478, which just goes to show how strong this tournament is. And Abhimanyu is the same person who helped her, Divya, in her World Cup battle. So maybe there's some preparation overlap here. e3 played and Abhimanyu pushes his pawn to c6. Now you can see that black's bishop is well placed on f5. Divya goes for this line with f3. She wants to perhaps gain space with g4. That could be an idea, and Abhimanyu is well prepared. He goes knight h5 immediately, questioning Divya on what she would like to do, and Divya chops off the knight on b8. The reason for doing that is because after rook takes b8, which is the natural move here, there is g4. Very sharp move to win a piece. Is Divya already winning here? Has Abhimanyu missed something? Well, not at all from the time usage. Queen h4 check. Now the king has to move, so goes to d2. But what about these pieces? They're still hanging. Well, for Abhimanyu, knight g3 comes in. You can't take here because of queen h1, and then g1 is also hanging. So you need to take the bishop. Divya chops it off. G takes f5. Abhimanyu plays knight takes h1. And now if he's able to wriggle out with knight f2, he's already exchanged up, but Divya immediately stops knight f2 because now knight f2 there's queen e1 and you lose material. So bishop d6 played. Now this is perhaps preparation, but bishop e7 was the better move according to the engines. But bishop d6, now Divya can play queen e2 followed by queen g2 and picking up the knight. Let's see if she does that, because bishop e7 would have protected the queen. Maybe that was the deep point there. Bishop g2 played by Divya, because now once again knight f2 is still met with queen e1 pinning here. So that's the reason why bishop g2, and black quickly castles here. Abhimanyu at 1 hour 40 minutes. I feel somehow, even though his position is not that great according to the engines, he's continuing to blitz it out here. Maybe he's bluffing a bit, but maybe he's well prepared. Rook e8, putting pressure on the e3 point. And now Divya brings her rook to e1. Very logical move to bring the rook into the center, defending the e pawn. There could be b5, b4 played in this position to dislodge the knight from c3. And Abhimanyu now thinking a bit. What will he do? He goes rook b d8, a very logical move, bringing his pieces in the center, wanting to play c5. If you count the material, Divya has 2 pieces for a rook, which is actually a good material advantage. But the thing is, her king is a bit weak and her pieces are a bit awkwardly placed. So she has to make some effort to correct it. f4 is a possible move. Rook e2 also wonderful move, making space for the queen to come to e1. And Divya is super focused here. And Abhimanyu goes c5. Love this move. And queen e1, another lovely move by Divya. If the queens are traded, white's advantage solidifies here and is clearly better. So Abhimanyu keeps the queen on the board, goes queen h6 and king c2. Another strong move by Divya, getting her king to safety, slowly consolidating. Bishop f8 played. And can you go just king b1? She goes queen d2. And as of now, it seems like white is better, but queen c6. Abhimanyu is a very tricky player. He has many tricks up his sleeve. King b1, got his king to safety. Now the next task is to get the knights into the game. And then the bishop b5 played. Now can we take d takes c5? She goes e4. Divya breaks in the center. Now have a look at the time on the clocks. Divya has 22 minutes and we are on move 21, which means 19 more moves. In this time, she pushes d5 now. Incredible play here by Divya Deshmukh, keeping the balance. Queen to a6. And now, if you play fe4, then b4, and the knight is a bit awkward. So she takes with the rook here. And Abhimanyu still goes b4, attacking the knight. But now knight d1. And getting the knight to e3 or f2 is a good idea. Knight d1 found. Divya playing such strong chess. She's showing why she won the World Cup. Why she's one of the best in the world right now in women's chess. c4 played. And now bishop f1. A good move, pinning the c4 pawn. She goes queen e2, which is also pretty good. The pawn is pinned here. Queen a4 played by Abhimanyu. You can't take with the rook. Your queen is hanging. You can't take with the queen as the knight is hanging. But there is knight f2 move. Just bringing the knight back in, defending the knight, attacking the pawn. Divya finds it. And Abhimanyu ready to push his c-pawn. Divya down to 10 minutes, has to make 14 more moves. Abhimanyu has 17 minutes on the clock. c3 played. Now, you don't want to be taking this pawn as it opens up the king and it's terribly bad. So goes queen c2. Maybe better move was bishop f1 in the position. But queen c2 played. I mean, b takes c3. You don't really take this way. This is under pressure now. So queen goes back to a6. Looking here in this diagonal. Knight comes to e3. And now Abhimanyu plays his bishop to c5. Look at the time on the clock. Knight goes to d1. Divya's knights supporting each other but also looking for good squares for each other. And Abhimanyu goes rook c8. He's putting pressure here. But now maybe it's time to get the bishop also into the game with bishop f1. Yes, she plays it. Bishop f1 is on the board. And queen to b6 played here. The idea is to put pressure on the e3 knight. But knight c4. And as we come closer to move number 40, we are on move 31. Divya's time is low, but her position is great. Queen f6. And now a very good move can be bishop d3. Protecting here, getting the bishop into the game. She goes knight e3. And she's defending this with her knight. And rook d8 played, putting pressure on the d5 pawn. And goes bishop to d3. Now the bishop puts pressure on f5. h5 played here. And bishop to f1. Well, the thing is, because Divya has such little time on the clock, she's not able to kind of make plans in order to make her position better. a5 played. And she goes queen e2. And Abhimanyu now can take on b2. But goes rook f8. Now that move is a bit weird for sure. What is the reason to get it here? Maybe just to not keep any threats on the e8 square. Queen c2 back, rook e8. And I believe Divya is happy with a draw here. But Abhimanyu says, I want to play on. And on the clock, he's actually almost gone down below Divya's time. They're on move 37. 3 more moves to make before time control. Queen g2 played by Divya, offering the trade of queens. And Abhimanyu doesn't want to trade queens. He wants to keep it on the board. And he's moving towards the queen, but decides against moving it. Where is he wanting to play? Queen f6. Divya will quickly move it back to e2. He goes to h6 and queen e2 played. Move 39 now. And Abhimanyu goes king to f8. Now king f8 in this position, the king is better placed, but now b takes c3 is a very strong move, because after b takes c3, you go king c2, and now your position is much more solid. But Divya plays queen e1 on the 40th move. It's not a mistake, but it definitely doesn't give her the edge which she could have got after taking pawn takes pawn. And Abhimanyu now is ready to chop off the pawn on b2. And you have to be super careful here. Both players will get 50 minutes on the clock. But Divya plays her queen to g3. Now, why you have to be careful is because there's check here. And by the way, this is a bad move. She could have played king b2 and her position is still fine. It's equal. But queen g3 is a big mistake. The reason for that is after a4 here directly, or after bishop e3, knight e3 and a4, black's pawns are super dangerous. He goes rook c8, which is also a nice move. And Divya pushes forward with d6. She's pushing her pawn, trying to make it a queen, but rook e d8. Abhimanyu's rooks are now best placed. f6 played by Divya. She's trying to get the queen to f6, remove it from this diagonal where it's so beautifully placed. And now queen e5 played. Here the best move is bishop d6, and black is better, but white has chances after queen takes queen. So Abhimanyu takes the queen first. Rook takes. Now the bishop is under pressure, the h5 pawn under pressure, and also the a5 pawn. So even though black has two pawns here and is going to win the third pawn, Divya's position is doing well, because now rook h5, yes, she takes it, threatening rook h8 check. And Abhimanyu now plays, he's going for the g pawn, g6. The best idea is to give a check, pick up the rook, pick up the a5 pawn, pick up the b2 pawn, but she takes bishop, rook takes a5, and this is not a good move because of bishop c5. Will Abhimanyu find it? Such a complicated position here, but Abhimanyu is very powerful. He plays bishop c5, threatening to maybe take and then enter in with both the rooks. King takes b2 played, but this is the final error. In fact, here rook takes c5, rook takes c5, and king b2 had to be played when white has some drawing chances. But now after king b2, the problem is bishop takes e3, knight takes e3 is game over. Yes, takes, knight takes, and now rook d2 check. If you come up, there is check and you lose the knight on e3. Yes, and has to go back now, king b1, but that means that rook e8 is a killer move. Rook e8 attacking the knight. If the knight moves, check, and you lose the bishop. Insane how this position turned around, and actually the last position is quite a nice one, because it shows how powerful the black rooks are compared to the two minor pieces. Rook f2 played, threatening rook takes on e3, rook takes f1, and if you save here, I'll take on f3 and win the knight. So somehow there is no way to defend here. Abhimanyu is winning. Divya's valiant defense here comes to an end, and with just few seconds on the clock, she resigns with a smile on her face. After all, they are good friends of each other. And bishop c5, he says that was a very strong move perhaps, and king b2 is the mistake according to Abhimanyu. He was very surprised when that happened. He was maybe bishop c5, or maybe he's saying bishop c5 you could have taken rook takes c5 instead of king b2, and yeah, that was also a possible defense. But what a game by both these players. They played really well, and kudos to Divya firstly for playing in the open section, but then not just playing it calmly, but taking the fight to her opponent, giving him a tough time. And these are the games that help you grow as a player, and then the analysis which also helps you understand here. And there they are analyzing this rook takes c5 idea, which was in this position after bishop c5, could have taken and played king b2 when white had good chances to hold.